Parents kicked me out for choosing my career over family. Now they want me to pay their bills. I'm not sure if I'm just venting here or what, but I'm seriously stuck and I need some perspective. Here's the deal. My parents, Tom, 60, M, and Lisa, 58F, kicked me out of the house when I was 21. Why? Because I chose my career over taking over the family's small-town hardware store. And apparently, that was enough to completely sever our relationship. My name's Adam, 29M, and I've spent the last 8 years building a life without them. When I graduated from high school, my dad had it in his head that I'd be the one to keep the family business running after he was done. It's this old, dingy hardware store in the middle of nowhere. But I had zero interest. I wanted to go into marketing, which, didn't exactly fit their vision of me. I even got into a good college in the city. But when I told them I wasn't coming back to take over the store, they flipped. Like full on. You're abandoning your family. Guilt-tripping shit. They gave me an ultimatum. Family business or get the hell out. So, I packed my stuff that night and left. For the next few years, we didn't talk. Not a single call, not a single text. I struggled like hell to make ends meet. Working 3 part-time jobs while studying, sleeping on couches, eating ramen for weeks straight, but I did it. I freaking made it. I landed a job in marketing after graduation, climbed my way up the ladder, and now I'm pulling in 6 figures. I bought my own place in the city and, honestly, thought I'd moved past all of it. But, of course, just when you think you've buried the past, it comes knocking on your door. Literally. My mom, Lisa, calls me out of the blue last week. It's been almost a decade since we last spoke. And what's the first thing she says? Adam, we need your help. The store's in trouble, and we're behind on bills. I almost laughed. They throw me out for choosing my career, and now, because they're screwed, I'm supposed to bail them out? No apology, no acknowledgement of what they did. Just straight up asking for money, like I'm some kind of freaking ATM. Here's the kicker. They want me to help out with their bills regularly. Not just a one-time thing. They need a couple $1,000 a month to keep things afloat. I didn't give them an answer right away. Told them I'd think about it, but honestly, I don't even know why I said that. Jess, my girlfriend, 27F, says I owe them nothing. She's been my rock through all of this, and she's furious they even had the guts to ask. She thinks I should cut them off entirely, says they're using me, and I can't say she's wrong. But there's this nagging part of me that keeps thinking maybe this is my chance to finally prove them wrong. Maybe if I help them out now, they'll finally see that I made the right decision, that I'm not the screw-up they've always seen me as. I don't know. Am I crazy for even considering it? Update 1. I thought I was ready to make a decision, but the phone call I had with them just made everything worse. I called my mom back because I guess some part of me still wanted to hear them out. Maybe I wanted an apology. Maybe I just needed to hear some kind of acknowledgement that they screwed up all those years ago. But nope, that's not what I got. Tom was the one who got on the phone, and the first words out of his mouth weren't even about the money. He said, "You need to stop being so selfish and remember where you came from." Like, are you kidding me? The man who kicked me out at 21 for not wanting to be stuck behind a cash register for the rest of my life is telling me I'm selfish? He went on about how the store's been in the family for 3 generations, how it's my duty to keep it going. There was no apology, no regret, just this expectation that I would drop everything to come back and save them. I lost it. I told him straight up, "You kicked me out. You made your choice. Now, you want me to fix your problems? You're lucky I even picked up the phone." And you know what he said? "You're our son. Family comes first. You don't turn your back on family." That's rich, coming from the guy who literally turned his back on me because I didn't want to run his shitty store. I hung up. I don't know what I expected. Maybe I was hoping for some kind of closure, but all it did was piss me off more. Jess says it's time to cut ties completely. I think she might be right, but now I can't stop thinking about it. What if I'm making a mistake? What if I should help them? Update 2. So, I guess I shouldn't have been surprised when my mom showed up at my apartment. Out of nowhere. Unannounced. She was standing at my door, looking completely disheveled, eyes puffy like she'd been crying for days. I wasn't ready for it. I mean, we hadn't seen each other in years, and now she's just there, physically in front of me. I didn't know what to do. I let her in, even though I knew Jess would freak out if she found out. The second she sat down, she started with the sob story. "We're going to lose the house. Your father's health isn't good." She looked at me like she was waiting for me to break, to just give in and say, "Okay, I'll help." But I just sat there quiet, waiting for her to say something real. Then she dropped the bomb. They need $20,000, $20,000 to keep the bank from foreclosing. Not just to save the store. This was about keeping their house. She even had the nerve to say, "We wouldn't be in this mess if you hadn't left." That was it. I stood up, told her I'd think about it, and practically shoved her out the door. I couldn't even look at her face when I closed it behind her. I don't even know why I said I'd think about it. I'm not giving them $20,000. What, am I supposed to go bankrupt because they're terrible with money? They couldn't manage their business. And now I'm supposed to clean up their mess? Just got home right after, and I told her everything. She didn't even hesitate. You can't give them anything. They'll never stop asking. They'll drain you dry if you let them. She's right. Deep down, I know she's right. But it's not that simple. I don't want to be the kind of person who turns his back on family, even if they've done it to me 1,000 times over. But what else am I supposed to do? They don't care about me. They care about what I can give them. I've worked too hard to build this life, and now they want to guilt trip me into throwing it away. Update 3. Well, shit just got a whole lot more complicated. I was at work today when I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was my dad. I don't even know how he got my work number. He never calls me, not directly. And the first thing he says before I can even get a word in is, "We've sold the store." Just like that. No explanation, no warning. They sold the family store. The same store they guilt me about for nearly a decade. I didn't know what to say. I just sat there, dumbfounded. I asked him why, and he said they had no choice, that they were drowning in debt, and this was the only way to save the house. Then he starts going off about how the buyers are some corporate chain that's going to destroy the legacy, and how this is all my fault because I didn't come back to help them. I hung up on him. I couldn't take it. They spent all these years making me feel like crap for choosing my career, for not wanting to take over the business. And now they've sold the store and expect me to feel guilty? What's even left for me to save? The legacy's gone. Update 4. I was still reeling from the call with Tom when I got home that night. I couldn't shake the feeling of, I don't even know, anger, confusion, guilt. It was all swirling in my head like a tornado. Jess was already there, sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone like it was any other day. I didn't want to unload on her the second I walked in, but I must have looked like hell because the first thing she said was, "What now?" I told her. I told her everything. About how Tom called, how they sold the store, how he somehow still managed to pin it on me. Jess didn't even flinch. She just shook her head and said, "Good. Now you don't have to deal with them anymore." But it didn't feel like a relief. I thought that once the store was out of the picture, maybe I'd feel free, like the weight of their expectations was finally off my shoulders. But it wasn't like that. I felt heavier, like there was still something hanging over me, something worse. And I couldn't stop thinking about Lisa's face when she was at my door, how broken she looked when she said they might lose the house, that I don't know why, but I said, maybe I should help them. The words just slipped out before I could even process what I was saying. Jess practically exploded. She stood up so fast the coffee cup in her hand almost flew across the room. "What the hell are you talking about? They sold the store, Adam. It's over. They have nothing left to hang over your head." She was right, but I couldn't shake the thought. It's like something deep down inside of me was still holding on to this idea that maybe, just maybe, if I helped them now, they'd finally see me differently. That they'd stop seeing me as the selfish son who ran away and realize I'm the one who could save them. Jess wouldn't let it go, though. She got right in my face, not yelling, but with that low, calm voice that's even scarier than yelling. "If you give them money now, they'll never stop asking. You're not saving them. You're feeding their toxic crap." She was practically daring me to argue with her, but I didn't have it in me. I just nodded like a freaking idiot, but the thought wouldn't leave my head. It was like a virus. I spent the whole night tossing and turning, replaying everything in my mind. Tom calling me selfish, Lisa's guilt trips, Jess telling me to let it go. And through it all, that nagging voice that kept whispering, "What if you're wrong? What if they're really in trouble? What if you're the reason they lose everything?" Update 5. Okay, I've done something stupid. I know I have, and I can already feel the consequences creeping up on me. This morning, I transferred $10,000 to their account. I don't even know what I was thinking. It was like this insane impulse that I couldn't fight off any longer. After I woke up, I just grabbed my phone, pulled up my banking app, and did it before I could talk myself out of it. Half of what they asked for. I thought, maybe this will shut them up. Maybe this will buy me some peace. Maybe it'll finally prove that I'm not the selfish jerk they think I am. I didn't tell Jess. I know that's going to blow up in my face, but I couldn't handle her anger on top of everything else. I figured I could just deal with it later. The worst part? After I sent the money, I didn't feel relieved. I felt sick, like I just opened a door that I've been trying to keep locked for years. And I know the second they see that money in their account, they're going to come back for more. It's like I've given them a reason to keep coming. But I did it anyway. I'm such an idiot. Sure enough, a few hours later, Lisa calls. She doesn't say thank you. Doesn't even acknowledge the money at first. Instead, she starts talking about how they're still going to need more to fully settle with the bank and that this just buys them a little more time. I could hear Tom in the background, muttering something, but I didn't catch all of it. Then she drops another bombshell. Tom's medical bills are piling up. They didn't mention that before. Now I'm supposed to feel guilty about his health too? I told her that's all I can do for now, and hung up before she could guilt me into anything else. But I know this isn't over. They're going to keep calling, keep pushing, and at some point, Jess is going to find out what I did, and when that happens, I don't even want to think about it. What the hell have I gotten myself into? Update 6. Jess found out. I knew she would, but I wasn't expecting it to happen like this. We were sitting at dinner, just takeout sushi, nothing fancy, and she casually asked me how work's going, if I'm still stressed about everything. I made some lame excuse, trying to brush it off, but then she hit me with it. Why did I see a $10,000 transfer to your parents' account? I froze. She must have seen it in our joint account or something. I hadn't been careful enough. I tried to explain, tried to tell her it was just a one-time thing, but she wasn't having it. She went off. And I mean off. She accused me of lying, of sneaking around behind her back, of being the exact thing I've been fighting against for years, weak. I didn't even have the energy to fight back. She was right. I was weak. I let them get into my head, let them manipulate me. And now, I'm paying the price. Jess said if I didn't cut them off completely, she was gone. No ultimatums, no second chances. She was done. I begged her to give me some time to figure it out, to talk to my parents and explain that it was a one-off, but she wouldn't listen. She packed a bag and left. I'm sitting here now, alone in our apartment, wondering if I just screwed up the one good thing I had because I couldn't stand up to my own freaking parents. What the hell am I supposed to do now? Update 7. So, here's the thing. I didn't think it could get worse, but of course it did. Tom's in the hospital. Lisa called me in the middle of the night, sobbing, telling me Tom had some kind of heart attack or stroke. I don't even know the details because she was so hysterical. She kept saying things like, if only we'd had the money, and he's been under so much stress. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually feel guilty. Like, deep down, part of me is buying into the idea that somehow this is all connected. That my refusal to help earlier, my selfishness, is what pushed him over the edge. It's insane. I know that. But there's this tiny voice in my head that won't shut up. I drove to the hospital today, even though every rational part of me was screaming not to go. Jess would probably call me a coward for it. And she's right. But I had to see for myself. Tom was lying in bed, looking weak, frail. It was surreal. This was the guy who'd always acted like he was invincible, like nothing could break him. And now he's hooked up to machines, looking like he's on death's doorstep. Lisa didn't even say thank you for showing up. She just looked at me with those accusing eyes like it was my fault he was in that bed, like my success somehow cursed him. She told me that the medical bills are going to be astronomical, and she doesn't know what they're going to do without help. I couldn't take it. I left without saying a word. But now I'm sitting here, thinking about everything. I'm losing Jess. I'm losing my sanity. And somehow, my parents have managed to make me feel like I'm losing them too, even though they've been out of my life for nearly a decade. How the hell did it come to this? Update 8. Jess came back to pick up the rest of her stuff today. She didn't say much, just walked around the apartment quietly, packing up the few things she'd left behind when she stormed out. I tried talking to her, tried apologizing, but she just looked at me with this mixture of disappointment and exhaustion. It was like she didn't even recognize me anymore. Before she left, she turned to me and said, "You're better than this, Adam. But if you don't realize it soon, you're going to lose everything." And then she was gone. I'm sitting here now, completely alone, staring at my phone, half expecting another call from Lisa, another request for more money, another guilt trip, another reminder of how I'll never be enough for them. But here's the thing. Maybe Jess was right. Maybe I am better than this. I just don't know how to prove it. Not to them, not to her, not even to myself. Update 9. I guess the breaking point always comes when you least expect it. After Jess left, I felt like I was suffocating. It was like everything was closing in on me, my parents, my job, this stupid apartment that felt so damn empty without her. I spent days just lying on the couch, staring at the ceiling, waiting for something to snap me out of it. It finally happened yesterday, and it wasn't pretty. Lisa called again. This time, she was calmer than usual, which almost made it worse. She sounded defeated. She said the hospital bills were higher than they'd anticipated, that she'd already borrowed money from a couple of family members, but it wasn't enough. She asked me for another $10,000. No guilt trip this time, no manipulation, just this quiet expectation that I'd swoop in and save the day. Like it was my job, like it was my responsibility. I lost it. Completely. I didn't even let her finish before I cut her off. You don't get to ask me for anything. Not anymore. I could feel the anger boiling over. Years of pent-up frustration just spilling out. You kicked me out, remember? You threw me away because I wasn't good enough for you. And now you want me to be your freaking safety net? You've got some nerve. She tried to say something, probably to guilt me into feeling like a piece of shit again, but I didn't let her. I went on, louder this time. I've given you more than you deserve. I gave you $10,000, and what did you do? You came back for more. You always come back for more. And then I said it. I said what I'd been thinking for years but never had the guts to say. You and Tom don't care about me. You never have. All you care about is what I can do for you, what I can give you. And I'm done. I'm done letting you control me. She went silent. I could hear her breathing on the other end, but she didn't say anything for a long time. And then, in the smallest voice, she said, "You're right. We haven't been fair to you, but we don't know what else to do." That hit me harder than I thought it would. For a second, I almost felt bad for her. Almost. But then I remembered all the years of them making me feel like I wasn't enough, and I realized that, apology or not, they'd never really change. They'd keep asking, keep pushing, and I'd keep giving until I had nothing left. So I hung up, and for the first time in my life, I felt free. Like really, truly free. Update 10. I didn't think I'd write this, but I guess it's only fair to close the loop. Things have changed a lot since I cut my parents off. It's been about 2 months now, and for the first time in years, I feel like I'm in control of my life again. I haven't spoken to Lisa or Tom since that last call. At first, I was half expecting them to show up at my apartment again, or at least send some passive-aggressive text, but they didn't. It's been radio silence. I guess they finally got the message. I found out through one of my cousins that they sold the house and moved in with my mom's sister in another state. Honestly, I feel relieved. I hope they figure out their shit, but I'm not getting involved. Not anymore. Jess, well, that's still a work in progress. She hasn't come back, but we've been texting. I think she's starting to see that I'm serious about cutting my parents off for good, but she's still hesitant. And I get it. I let them mess with my head for years, and I let that mess up our relationship. But I'm trying. I told her I'm going to therapy, which is true. I started seeing a therapist last week. I figured it was time to actually deal with all the baggage I've been dragging around for the past decade. The therapist, her name's Linda, 50F, asked me why I'd waited so long to get help, and I didn't really have an answer. I guess part of me thought I didn't deserve to feel better. Like I should just suck it up and deal with it on my own. But now, looking back, I can't believe how long I let my parents have this much power over me. I let them make me feel guilty for choosing myself, for choosing my own life. And now that I've finally broken free from that, it's like I'm learning who I really am for the first time. It's not perfect. Hell, I'm still working through a lot of shit, and some days it feels like I'm just treading water. But for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm the one making the decisions. I'm the one calling the shots in my own life. Jess says she needs time, and I'm giving her that. I told her I'd be here if she ever wants to talk, but I'm not going to push her. If she comes back, great. If not, well, I'll figure it out. I'm not going to chase after her the way I chased after my parents' approval. I've learned my lesson. As for my parents, I think I've finally closed that chapter. I don't hate them. I don't even really blame them anymore. They're just flawed, messed up people who made their choices. And now I'm making mine. So yeah, that's where I'm at. It's been a crazy ride, but I'm finally starting to feel like myself again. For anyone who's stuck in a toxic family dynamic, let me just say this. It's okay to choose yourself. It's okay to walk away, even if it feels like the hardest thing in the world. You don't owe anyone your life, not even your parents. I don't know what's next for me, but for the first time, I'm actually excited to find out.